When I was 14, I started a tradition where I would write a letter to my future self and then leave it with the Christmas decorations. It only lasted 4 years, resulting in 4 letters. I will read those letters to you right now. Now, some of you may be asking, why have you not exploited these letters for content in the past? And the answer is, these have been in my parents' attic for well over a decade, and I didn't find them until just this past year. Dear Jeremiah, hi, this is you, January 5th, 1995. Remember when you wrote this? I do, actually. Anyway, I'm currently working on the script for Hot Wings. Did you ever make that? Or are you working on it? No, I never made Hot Wings. This was gonna be my big movie where chickens try to take over the world. We had chickens when I was growing up, and they say write what you know. So I think that was the big reveal, is that chickens are from another planet. Because of course they are. And also I wrote myself into the film. You know, I was suspicious of the chickens, and then they capture me, and then I'm rescued by a raccoon who rides a giant frog. This would have required a multi-million-dollar budget. This is sort of the end of an era for me. It's probably good that I got more practical and started writing things that I could actually produce. On the other hand, the stuff that I wrote when I was a kid, it was more interesting. So, how are the pets? Some things never change. Are all your questions going to be about pets?
Yes.
Is feline okay? How about canine? Or Leon? Alright, there's a lot to unpack here. So, you might recall, when I was 12, I asked about Molly.
Is Molly still alive?
Molly was an elderly dog, and she passed away in 1994. But before Molly passed away, we got a puppy. Molly unfortunately spent the last 2 years of her life with this bratty little dog, who I never really trained very well. So I named the poor dog Canine, after the robotic dog from Doctor Who. And then we got a cat. And I figured I was on a roll, and so I named the cat Feline. So at this point in my life, I had a dog named Canine and a cat named Feline.
What about Leon?
And I still had Leon, who was a parakeet, by the way. I don't think that's ever been explained. As I'm writing this, Governor King is being inaugurated. Has he been a good governor? Now Senator King. Yeah, I think Governor King was decent. As Maine senators go, he's definitely the least embarrassing. We're also taking the tree down. I hate doing this. Well, because you're reading this, it must almost be Christmas. Yay. I hope the world didn't end in 1995. No, it didn't. Not then, no. Anyway, time to go. Bye. Yourself, Jeremiah McDonald, January 5th, 1995. That's the first letter. Let's see what happens in subsequent years. Dear Jeremiah, in continuing what is probably the best way to keep in contact with myself, here is yet another letter from yourself approximately a year ago. Now you can see already I'm getting, there's a little more bite to this one. Let's hope your spelling has improved. At this point in time, I am hopefully in the final stages of writing Curse of Rosebud. I actually shot some of it, which wasn't necessarily the case with my other films. It was a scene with zombies, and this was not a zombie film. This was just a film where various things happen, including zombies. I made the mistake of having all of my friends dress up as zombies. Then I just had them wait around while I filmed everything leading up to the zombies. And this is just, basic scheduling 101. This is something that even professional filmmakers don't always learn. Fortunately, I learned it on my first go. Let's hope you brought it to salvation in '96. Let us also hope the coming of Christmas hasn't gotten you down as it did last year, which is weird because there was no indication of that in the last letter. Cheer up! It's Christmas, for crying out loud. Look at you, you're putting up the tree. Right now, I have to take the thing down, which, by the way, is censored in the letter. I'm not just being a prude. It's the most wonderful time of the year, and you're about to enter a new year. Let's hope this year brings you success. Right now, I'm in the midst of making a video for contemporary issues. God, that class sucks, didn't it? I hope you're having a good sophomore year and not a good second freshman year. Goodbye, and be sure to write back. And Merry Christmas. Tell everyone I said hi, Jeremiah McDonald. Wow, that's very sweet. Thank you, me.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows?
Okay, so this is the third and longest letter of the 4. Dear Jeremiah, greetings, old friend. This marks the 3rd letter in the most anticipated tradition of the holiday season. I won't even ask about my spelling. It could only have gotten worse. I'm happy to report that this past year, 1996, has been one of the greatest years of my life. Why? Well, let's just say I've been through it all. First relationship, first breakup, numerous artistic achievements, including 4 utter heartfelt shock. That was a sketch comedy show that my friends and I produced for public access television that I saw all the way through production and completed. It was something that I completed. It was the first thing, really. I don't think it's good now.
We need our homework by 3:30. Let's go.
But absolutely an achievement at that time. And performing in Competition Piece, which was a short play that we competed with in a short play festival, Brigadoon, Cinderella, and Taming of the Shrew. So a lot of theater that year. There were many moments of unbridled happiness as there were moments of grief and unimaginable torment. That doesn't sound good. This girl who I was dating, we had been together before, but very briefly, like I'd say 2 weeks. I was completely devastated when it ended. By the end of the year, we were dating again. But in the end, everything worked out fantastic. Highlights include the One Act Play Festival, the Les Miserables sing-along, that was at the Short Play Festival, and getting a roaring applause during my curtain call in Taming of the Shrew.
Oh, heavens, spanking out these words plain! Sorrow, knock me here, knock me well, and knock me soundly!
And also discovered who my real friends are. At least 3 of these people I'm still friends with. I've discovered that a year doesn't have to be perfect to be the greatest year ever. I've learned how beautiful life actually is, and how incredible it is to have natural highs. I was such a prude when it came to drugs that I basically carved out an identity for myself to be anti-drug. It wasn't enough to just not do drugs. I had to be really annoyingly sanctimonious about it. I hope 1997 has been equally as fulfilling as 96, and that you are at least content with your present life. I hope that any changes have been for the better, and that you've made many accomplishments. Completing or at least starting the feature film starring Albert would be nice. This was an animated film starring my rabbit Albert. Everyone remembers Roy.
Do you still draw, Roy?
I sort of outgrew Roy, so there were some other rabbits along the way. I finally settled at Albert. Be sure to do well in school, trust me on this, and tell everyone special in your life that you love them. Not that I'm trying to take over your life or anything, just some friendly advice. Here are some other key words from this past year. Alvarez. Something in the way, hey, chips, what the bone, the Ruddles, can I have your names please? No, Chuck. Some of these I don't even remember. Costume Room. Yeah, I remember what that's about. I also saw a lot of great movies this year. 12 Monkeys, MST3K, 4 Rooms, Clerks, Brazil, Strange Days, Get Shorty, Muppet Treasure Island, Shave, 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Wow, I thought that was great. And 3 days ago, I saw Rent. That was something. That was in Boston. And, you know, I was a theater kid. Rent was sort of the thing. And as this letter bids you farewell, I have a few more things to say. No matter where you and are now, tell her that I love her because real love never dies. She broke up with me 1 week later.
You can actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half.
Just to be clear, she's happily married, I'm happily married. There's no residual heartbreak. And that brings us to the 4th and final letter. And as you can see, my enthusiasm was diminishing because these are just pages from a tiny notebook. Sunday, January 4th, 1998. It's about 9:30 a.m. I'm sitting at the control board producing the tag sale show with my father. This was my first job. My dad was a radio guy.
It is 63 degrees.
He'd been bringing me to his work since I was a child.
Hello, this is Jeremiah, and I welcome you to my tape.
When I turned 17, I started working with him as his producer. I would screen his calls and I would play bumper music. But it was very cool. We'd get up way too early in the morning and go do radio every week. It's been an average work day so far. I did a bit of singing in the studio before work. This afternoon, we may be rehearsing The Nerd if Tim and I can round up the cast. This Christmas vacation wasn't very eventful, but it was restful. But man, what a year it's been. The year of absolute unbridled insanity. Now there's an obscure word I should work into my daily vocabulary. Insanity. But anyway, 1997 was chock full of pain and pleasure from both ends of the spectrum. This year, for utter heartfelt shock, the aforementioned public access TV show we made won its award, and Rat Spanking Happy brought down the house at the Maine Student Film and Video Festival. I remember that being a very special moment. This was the first time I'd screened a video that I'd made for an audience and got a big laugh, and that's just... the year of your first paying gig, the Maine Festival, that was a huge disaster. See, my dad was also a storyteller.
She's up on the roof and she won't come down.
Like a Maine storyteller, and I started following in his footsteps.
She's up on the roof and she won't come down.
And I started doing live performances, and he got me this gig at the Maine Festival, and oh god, I completely bombed. I told a story that me and my friend wrote in a study hall. This completely juvenile thing about this kid who makes laxative brownies and gives them to his parents.
They speak of this event and they shudder.
There's this missile crisis.
The Russians, or Soviets if you will, aiming atomic missiles over parts of southern Maine.
I don't know why I thought the Cold War was still happening.
Quick! To our fallout shelter!
And then the laxative kicks in.
Dad, where's the porta potty?
And, oh god.
Uh-oh.
Oh god, I actually told this story to an audience. And anyway, the list continues. A whole shitload of other paying gigs, church suppers, schools, snowmobile meetings. I really performed a lot that year. Your first job, WGAN. 3 scandalous love affairs. I think that just means I kissed 3 girls. An over-the-top performance as Benny South Street in Guys and Dolls.
When you spot a child waiting out the rain, chances are insane. There's only a John giving her a chain.
The suit that I wore in that show, they gave to me when the performance was over, and I still have it. Benny South Street and Guys and Dolls to make up for when I lost my role in The Importance of Being Earnest. My favorite play is The Importance of Being Earnest, and I convinced the drama club to do that as our next show, but because the one-act play festival competition was coming up, they decided to do a one-act version of The Importance of Being Earnest, which is absurd because, you know, the beauty of that play is the dialogue. When you reduce it to a single act, all you have left is the plot. I was cast as Jack in The Importance of Being Earnest, and then I lost the role because in order to be eligible for drama club, you had to be getting passing grades and everything, and I absolutely was not. So I lost the role. And they went on to win the play festival with a one-act version of The Importance of Being Earnest. An utterly forgettable performance in The Mouse That Roared, yes, that was forgettable. I don't even remember who I played in that. And it's also the year you met Alec Baldwin, who was a guest on my dad's show, ultimately fulfilling your lifelong dream. Alec probably wouldn't remember you if he met you again, but it was still quite a thrill. My dad has a weird sense of humor because when he introduced me to Alec Baldwin and he said, "This is my son, he is your biggest fan." Like, I don't know why he would say that, because I barely knew who Alec Baldwin was at that time. I'd seen him on Saturday Night Live. There's just no reason to assume that that's a joke. And so Alec proceeded to treat me like I was his biggest fan, which is nice, but, you know, completely unnecessary. This was also the year when Star Wars returned to the big screen. I wonder whatever happened to that franchise. Now we find ourselves in 1998. Now I'm wondering what's in store. Right now, I'm tossing around the idea of a portrait of the student as a young man. I was already trying to write a biographical film about high school when I was still in the midst of it. Of all the film ideas, that's probably the most boring. I've also been trying to learn, or perhaps I should say, have been learning dance and mime, as well as improving my acting and singing. Looks like I got my work cut out for me. This should be quite a year. And that's it. I think the reason I stopped doing this is, every year I'd take out the letters and Mom would say, "Hey, why don't you read them to everyone?" And I'd say, "No, I'm not going to read these out loud." Well, that wraps it up for 2020. I hope this wasn't a completely terrible year for you. I'm excited for next year. It's going to be my 15th YouTube anniversary. If you have any questions, I can do a Q&A video, or for some questions, I could devote an entire video to them. Thank you to everyone who has supported me throughout the year, especially through the pandemic. Happy holidays and happy 2021. Thank you, as always, to Alexander Winfield, Cara Pacifico, Dale Atwater, Eric Ives, Mark, Tamia, and Zaphod 2073.
When you feel down, try positive thinking.
I think that the system is, it's more complex and subtle.
I am Jody!
Joe what?
Get down and over me. Get down and over. Get down and over me.
Cows. 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 Black Lives Matter? I have no problem with it. But, oh, good. Well, in that case, you cut me off. Yeah, you said you had no problem, so we're moving on. I was going to say but. You were going to say but. Yes. That makes it sound like you have a problem, but you don't have a problem? I have no problem. Right, so we're moving on to...